Ever since she was a little girl, she had longed for a doll with curves. However, she never had one because of the death of her mother, the neglect of her father, and their poverty. There was a time when every day she would stealthily watch from the corner of a wall a girl in the neighborhood playing with a big doll in her arms. Her desire for a doll grew so strong. One night, when she lay in bed embracing the sheets in her arms, it flashed across her mind that she could have a certain doll. She took some old clothes and twisted them into a bundle, which she tied with a string at the full its length from one end. This way, she got the first doll in her life. She told her husband about her first doll. Her husband burst into laughter after hearing her story. From that night on, she always slept with her back to her husband. Afterwards, every night in her dreams began to appear some peculiar transparent things, floating with vital force in the vast stretch of grayish space and had nothing to do with reality. The dreams kept coming back, bringing her even more anxiety. She glanced up to see a pair of plumping breasts drooping vaguely in her shirt. Images began to form in her mind as she pictured two oozing nipples shaped like overripe strawberries, as if waiting for the sucking mouth of a baby. She wished her husband could grow such breasts on his chest, with drooping nipples for her to suckle. All of a sudden, it dawned on her that what she had felt was lacking in his chest was a pair of breasts for her to rest on. In the dead of night, the floor by the window was submerged in peaceful moonlight that poured in like milk. She recalled her second doll, which was made of clay. If her first doll was known as a rag doll, then this second doll had to be called the clay doll. The thought of making a clay doll rose in her mind after that incident. One day, she fell to the ground and burst into tears. The girl's mother came out of the house, gently picked her up, and comforted her, allowing her to bury her head in her bosom. From then on, the rag doll could no longer arouse her interest, for it was short of the protruding elastic parts that she needed for consolation. The feeling came back again. She often went to the small mound of clay with other kids to make clay figures, but she always put 2 extra balls of clay on the figure's chest and molded them into erect lumps. Driven by a mysterious impulse, she took off her clothes and then rested her ample breast on her husband's, while staring to pray with unprecedented piety for the transplant of her breast onto his body. Their marriage was falling apart. She was certain that her husband grew a pair of breasts so as to renew her novelty and security was the unbeatable scheme which can maintain her affection toward his body. Everything went well, except that an unnamed animal crept in her prey. Initially, the creature appeared in the form of 2 eyes, long and oval in shape, like a rhombus with softened angles, and bleakly sallowed in color, like fallen, withered leaves in autumn. One night, the eyes were staring at her masturbating. She hit on the idea of a wooden doll because she wanted a child. In an out-of-the-way, deserted wartime bunker, she found a wooden figurine, a naked woman with protrusive breasts, like 2 evenly distributed domes, rising sidelong from her torso. That was the first time she had gained so clear a view of the shape of the breast she had so passionately loved. Before this, on the chest of the clay doll were disheveled clumps of irregular form. Now, as she ran her hands across the perfectly defined curve of the wooden doll, she experienced a deeper sense of beauty and attachment. She would never forget the pleasure when her lips came in contact with the nipples, of the wooden doll for the first time. The tiny nipples seemed to be created especially for her to suck at, and she could enfold an entire breast in her mouth to claim its possession. She prayed to wooden doll for a pair of breasts to suckle, or a kid's mouth to suckle her breast vicariously on her behalf. The yellowish-green eyes were drawn slowly toward her, sporting two long, ghastly white fangs in the dark. A triumphant happiness surged through her heart, making her satisfied with herself. She believed that the ferocious pale green eyes, with their libidinal desire, could bring her happiness and relief. She wanted them, and in order to have them, she had to go back to her hometown. "I'm going back to my hometown." "Just try and never give up. Someday you will get there," her husband said. "Maybe," she thought to herself, "but by following my own path, not yours." But that would be far in the distant future. She leaned gently on his chest, casting her mind back to a naked female mannequin she had seen in a display window when she was walking along the street. "Someday I will own her, and maybe I will call her the wax doll," she whispered to herself.